There are seasons in life where the path feels clear and you know who you are and you know where you're going and you know what you're building. And then there are seasons like this one. And these are seasons where you can feel the rumblings, you can feel the changes underneath the surface. Where the person you were just doesn't fit anymore, and yet where the person you were no longer fits as comfortably as they once did. Collectively, certainty is really losing its grip here, and it's starting to freak some people out. And that's okay, that's what we're here for, that's what we're speaking about today. So, before we begin, I want to ask you a question. When you look into the mirror, do you feel like you're looking at the same person that you were a year ago? Or does it feel like someone new is staring back at you? Because the collective energy from this week is very deeply connected to identity. And not in the sense of finding yourself, but it's more in the sense of becoming unfamiliar to yourself. Okay, now many people have spent, especially the last year, really questioning who they are, what they want, where they're going, and even, what you're here to do. And what keeps coming through is this, okay? What if you are not meant to have those answers? What if you were never meant to have all of those answers? And what if the invitation is to actually become a mystery into yourself? To navigate life and meet yourself with curiosity rather than that uncertainty. To allow yourself in the unfolding rather than constantly trying to define who you're becoming. Because there's another energy moving through the collective right now, and it's connected to time. And so many people are carrying this subtle pressure that time is running out, or they won't fulfill their purpose, or that they won't create what they came here to create in this life, or that they won't become who they came here to be. And this is very much a mental body fear, as we know, because the mind experiences time very differently to the soul. Okay, so the mind is saying hurry, and your soul is saying be here. Your mind is saying figure it out, and your soul is saying experience it. And the mind is like, well, what happens next? And your soul is saying, what's happening now? What's happening right now? And so what keeps coming through is that the treasure that people are searching for, they're not hidden somewhere in the future. They're not hidden in the next goal. They're revealed through participation in your life, through the presence in your life, and allowing yourself to meet yourself where you are. And there is also this shedding again. There's this shedding taking place. Now, it started last year. So unlike previous waves of transformation, this isn't as dramatic as it felt like last year. It's a little bit more graceful, if we want to use that word. It's more like leaves falling from a tree rather than, the bark being ripped off. That's the visual. So again, as I always say, it doesn't mean anything's wrong. Nothing is wrong, but because certain identities and expectations and timelines are no longer needed, that's why. And there's this beautiful invitation to live with less attachment. to let yourself dream and let yourself create. Let yourself be a bit delusional around this too. Often we're just afraid of what people are going to think. Follow those divine impulses. That's the invitation. Especially without needing to know what it's going to become. Without needing the guarantees, without needing the certainty. Because, you know, the most beautiful, extraordinary, fulfilling lives are not created through control. And this has been a big collective message this year, actually, is releasing control. Because those kinds of lives, they're often actually created through mystery. And you wouldn't think so, would you? But, you know, if you look at certain people who have become, you know, massive success, their version of success, of course, they let themselves dream big and be a bit delusional. And that's really what this particular season is teaching us. It's not, okay, let's predict the future. It's how do we trust ourselves enough to walk into this next phase of our human evolution without needing all the answers. Whew. And so, if you have been feeling uncertain lately, or questioning who you are, if you've been feeling that pressure around time, or pressure trying to figure out your purpose, this is an invitation. You don't have to solve this yourself, okay? The invitation, or you could even call this the medicine, is actually to become curious about who you're becoming and let that be enough for today. And so if you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, yeah, that's exactly how I've been feeling actually, especially around that mental noise, the timelines, the questions, that's what we look at, and that's what we target inside the Momental Defrag Sessions. These are one-on-one online sessions, and they're really designed to support you in clearing out that noise, untangling from that overwhelm, and reconnecting to your own inner knowing, okay? So if you would like support with that, the details will be below. And now I would love to share a message that came through from Cosmo, my Sasquatch guide. Let's do that now. And so if you're new to this channel, I have been connecting with my Sasquatch guide Cosmo, I think 7 years. It was pre-pandemic, and they're just the most unconditional, loving, beautiful, pure beings. I've connected with them off planet, and off planet mostly telepathically. And so I think for most of this year they've been supporting me in bringing through collective messages. So so your human factions are sensing the great change upon you, okay? Even those who do not identify as spiritual or sensitive are feeling these shifts. From last year into this, so the last 12 to 18 months, your collective has been undergoing an intense process, a shedding, a destabilization, dissolution in practically all forms, which has bumped up against many of your reality filters. Yeah, so what he's saying there is he's talking about your individual veils. So we've got this collective veil and then our individual veils, which was really interesting. So this has had many people waking up en masse, so much so that we reached the required quotient for awakening souls some time ago that they needed, right? So your identity structures are being questioned constantly right now. Your purpose, what brings you joy, fulfillment, and now in question on an individual level, even your entire existence and reason for being. You are beginning to question everything. And that is necessary as we enter the next phase in this collective ascension event. Be here now is the invitation. Your mind will want to quantum travel to future potentials that will not serve the whole. If you must project thoughts, project into the love timelines. Imagine a world of total peace and calm and harmony, love, understanding, and abundance for all. Let yourself get, here we go, delusional. For where you allow your mind to travel affects the whole. And anytime we talk about this sort of thing, I just get that instant visual of, it's one of the DC movies. Doctor Strange is in it, and he's literally looking at all of the probabilities and potentials when they're looking at trying to beat the bad guy. I just love that bit so much, because it just really, it's like, oh my, yes, exactly what it's like, right? And so it's time to allow yourselves to live in the mystery, not logic. And by the way, when we talk about logic and an analytical mind, it's not in a negative context at all. Okay, that's not what we're saying. And so he's actually saying it was always supposed to be like that, living within the mystery, allowing mysteries to unfold. And yes, the logical mind and the analytical mind has its place and its purpose, of course. But their roles, they're saying the roles got a little bit inverted there. And so logic, reason, and realism have been inverted by the Matrix to the point where humans began to dismiss their intuition as just being silly or having an overactive imagination. But your imagination is intrinsically connected to your psychic abilities. It is those who have dared to dream greater, dream of possibilities, and dream of things never done before, who have proven it can be possible. Many of your people trust science over spirituality, but your science does not have all of the answers still. Do not misunderstand. Your science is beautiful and supports humans in understanding the secrets of the world, but it is still limited. Although your science has much knowledge that has not yet been shared with the world, like the existence of extraterrestrial life, well, we know that's sort of coming through, isn't it? The existence of extraterrestrial life and technology and free energy and med beds and the reverse engineering of UFO technology, time travel, portals, and so on. And so the only reason we say your science is limited is because it has been controlled by non-serving, non-light beings for a very, very long time. Your governments and institutions could hold the keys to the universe and all that is, but for distorted and selfish reasons, they have chosen to work with the dark ones and therefore are missing out on the whole picture. This will end soon, and the world will see the truth around their false agendas and propagandas to control narratives and withhold treatments and cures. This will be included in your disclosure, which is not one single event, but multiple micro events, slowly but steadily showing the world what is true. Interesting. Oh, he did mention, I just jotted a note down, he was talking about this rise in this like fake bot energy, which has literally been created to try and affect the humans. So the Matrix, it's smart, I'll give it that. It knows exactly how to send frequencies, gaining our consent unconsciously. And I was really feeling into that when I went and saw the Disclosure Day movie. That was this week, yeah. So I went this week. I took my son, who's 17. He's autism, empath, intuitive, all the things. And I didn't know what to expect, but I knew it was a Steven Spielberg movie. So I said, right, I'm going to protect our energy before we go in. And when we sat down and the ad started playing, I said, right, okay, when the movie starts, I just want you to say in your mind that I do not consent. So we didn't consent to any energies and frequencies that may or may not have been sent through the big screen. So that was the first piece. I enjoyed the movie. And it's interesting, something I hear over and over again when we're speaking about, or when we're learning more and more about the dark forces or the cabal or the secret societies, or whatever you want to call them. Because when it comes to the way they move through the world on a larger scale, they've got this energy of two truths and a lie, because it keeps us in line. It keeps us believing non-truths because we are getting drips of truth. And so that's what I found with this movie. There was a lot of things that really did land for me. I was like, yes, yes. And then there was other bits where I was like, no. And I think they were really intentional about how they wanted us to portray the movie, obviously, especially with the UFO Files release. And you know what my son said to me after? He said, because I said, did you like the movie? He said, yeah, but you know, there was only one thing that I didn't really like. And he said, I was a bit sad that they only used the grey aliens, because I don't think they're the only aliens. And I just went, yes, Jappy. Because he knows things without knowing things, right? True starseed child, he just comes out with this stuff. I said, you're so right. There are so many other beautiful aliens, or whatever you want to call them, other beings, and they chose the grey ones. And I said, you know, it's probably because they're the most popular ones on planet Earth. I think they were used in a way to bring through fear, going back many years, and that's a whole nother topic, because a lot of humans have been absolutely terrified, or even around the thought of these little grey beings thinking all the things that we've heard. That's just a whole nother topic. But yeah, beautiful beings. It's good and bad, if you want to use those words, in humans, even in the reptilians, in the insectoid beings. You know, where collectively it's been a combined effort between humans and, let's just call them the good alien factions, whatever you want to call them, the Star Council, the Galactic Federation, all the beautiful beings that are supporting us right now. Okay, we have made such headway as a collective, even if it doesn't feel like it. We truly have, and you know, a lot of you might be thinking, you know, how much longer do we have to keep navigating, you know, all the things, the healing, all of these like seeming constant ego deaths, and the shedding, and the all of it takes as long as it takes. We're focusing on the wrong thing, they say. Anytime I go to them with that, you're focusing on the wrong thing. What does your soul say? Soul says, be here right now. Where is the joy in your day to day, or the peace, or whatever it is you're seeking in here to make you need a solution and the end of this right now? Does that make sense? So if you are finding yourself sort of navigating in your life where you want this whole ascension process to end, and you want the flash, and you want it to happen now, that means you have swung too far over here. It's time to come back into your human body and live your human life. Okay, now if you are struggling around all of the the matrix frequencies, the mental distortions, the fear, the overwhelm, and you know it's not yours, but you can't quite, put them all in their right place. Links are below to the mental defrag sessions. Okay, I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you next week. Bye.